All right, we are live at 11:05. I'm BC, and we're here at Trinity Street Rods, and I'm doing something I really haven't done for a long time. My daughters, when I come home, and I've been working in Bondo and fiberglass, and they smell the Bondo, or they come into the shop and smell the Bondo, and they go, "Oh, that's a comfort smell." For them, it's a comfort smell. I'm an old Chicago boy. I lived up there. Thank God I don't live up there anymore. I've been to the Ozarks quite a while, but I grew up there, and I've been doing body work my whole life. Sanding rust off a car, it has a special smell to it. It's almost like a comfort smell. I almost have that comfort smell. Haven't done this for a long time. Mike found him an awesome barn find. So when you find you an awesome barn find in primer that's kind of all bolted together and looks like a car, well, you just never know what's under that primer. This is still a great car. It's going to be an even awesomer car. Is that a word, awesomer? Like polymers? And
I think so.
Okay, well good. It's going to be awesome. So Mike brought the car, wanted the chassis. We built the chassis. I said, well, why don't you bring the car down? We'll take it off and we'll make sure it fits on the chassis. It's nice to know, since we build chassis and sell them for a 34, that an actual 34 fits on it. So I'm thinking it's going to help me make sure that our bolt holes are in the right spot. And actually, Spear Cars sells a 34 chassis, and the bolt holes all lined up everywhere they go, except this has got an independent front suspension. Oh, we took the headlights off. Yesterday we had all the headlights on, and we're doing a pre-assembly. Well, none of the brackets go where they go because we took up that space with the independent front suspension. The front end of this thing is kind of under, and you can kind of see the gap between here. I sent Mike some pictures, but that ain't how it goes. We got to get a hood to fit here. I got a good hood line coming around here, and if you look at this in close, this piece has been cut off of here at one time and kind of put on. This line should follow a nice curve about here. This hole don't line up with the grill shell. It all comes around. This should actually go back. This is the trim that holds the hood together. It's kind of the hinge point, and it bolts onto here. So this has got to come all the way back onto there. So, but as you see, as I'm doing that, you can kind of see down here, I'm bending that, and it bends pretty easy. So a pre-fit is good, even though it got bought at the barn. It had it on there. I'm sure somebody pushed it in, put that down. A deal like this, especially because we'll make it nice when it gets painted and everything. I don't want to have to be just fighting it all the way after it's painted, and neither do you, trust me. So we start sanding. Everything was in great primer. We've already put a ribbed roof on it. You know how they come with the vinyl on it, or I don't know if it was vinyl back then, but a cloth type material, almost looking like vinyl. But that's gone. We took that off, put a ribbed roof, got that all bonded in. We I took the old firewall out and put a new firewall in its recess. We got I remember it's an LS motor. Got it plug welded in. We'll grind all the welds, get it all cleaned up. So this part's in. You couldn't really tell, but I guess you could. Even though it looked clean, we wound up putting rockers on it, inner panels there, and it was actually hit in this corner and drove in pretty good. And I'm thinking, since now that we've sanded all this off, you can see this was probably the original running board, so it got hit in here. So this has got some significant issues. Now that we've sanded all the thing, this has been replaced here. The backside of this is either from a different vendor or somebody made this and rolled it in. I'm not sure. Probably a different vendor just welded onto that. But everywhere through the whole car now, we can see issues. We made a call. You can either take it to the sandblaster and sandblast it, which you do risk warping, and then just the way it is, as far as we were into it, I made the call, we're going to sand it. So we sanded it down to bare metal. Let's come around here. You can see in the back, some Bondo, a lot of dents. This panel, I don't know if it's aftermarket or just really clean, but you can see how that one sands up. So this is probably a replaced panel on it at some time, and you can see why it would be. If you're going to crash, that'd be a good spot to really mess up a panel. So sanding, and then there's hand sanding to get it all. We need to get all the rust basically into the air so we can breathe it, and I can have my comfort smell. So old Gilligan's been doing that. So is here. How's this? Is this racist? So's the Indian. Well, I know. I'm like David. Like no, David. He said, well, you can call him the Indian. I'm like, I can't call you the Indian. They'll call me a racist. I can't do that. Even though he said they didn't call me the Indian. But anyway, David doing a good job. So Gilligan and David, they're both, man, we've been hammering on this thing. It's getting there. Took the one door off. Well, we're kind of still pre-assembling and sanding at the same time, doing two different things. Once we just finish up on the front a little bit more, we're going to take everything apart. And when I do it, I'm going to get the body ready, and then we can focus. Don't look at too big of a picture at once. Break it into smaller bites. When I do this fender, I'm going to have to sit down and fall in love with this fender because it's you know, you just don't have that smooth line. So I'll focus on one panel at a time. If I look at too much of it at once, it just gets daunting. So we'll just stay on that. Then we'll work on the rocker panel. Then we'll work on that fender. And next step, critical issue, we got to neutralize this rust that's on there. We just got to neutralize this rust because there's the door. Looks good. The whole car looked like that. Everything, yeah. Okay, solid. Looking in the corners, you know, it's not all rusted in the corners. A lot of places where it would be. It did have some issues, but overall, this was a really good looking car. But until you do this, you don't know. A lot of times, you know, somebody will want to, I'll make this a quick story. The guy wanted me to, had a 4-door Chevy car, 57. Just kept wanting me to do it. And I said, I can't give you an estimate. I don't know. It was a good 20-foot car. Painted, looked pretty good. You bought it and wanted out all these grand plans. I thought, I have no idea what it is. None. Until it's sandblasted and I can see what's there, I can't tell you anything. And I thought he wasn't going to do it. I thought it was significant enough, you know, no. This was way a long time ago when we were doing that kind of work. Next thing I know, he comes up with this car on a trailer totally sandblasted. Oh my gosh. By the time we got into it, the frame rail had been hit so hard on the front that they had actually cut and moved the suspension because they couldn't get the frame rail. The rust was horrible. We made it into a car, but he'd have been much better off to leave it a 20-foot car, sell it, and find him better bones to start with. Not the case on this one. Great bones. Be hard to find a car this nice to start with. They're out there, but not a lot of them. Barn find, here we go. Let's come over here. I want you to go from this side. Are the lights going that way? Are the lights too blinding? If I go through, are the lights, or do I look good? I gotta look good, you know, because we're coming to trigger time. And we may be on multiple platforms now. My son put an app on the phone. We used to do Live at 11:05 on Facebook. Then we switched it to YouTube because it stayed there longer. And so I would say like, subscribe, whatever else you do, I don't know. But now there's an app on the phone, so I believe this Live at 11:05 is going on to 5 or 6 different platforms all at once. So we may be back on Facebook. We may actually be on my homepage Facebook. We may be, I don't know where. So we'll figure that out. So anyway, that's that. I don't think I've painted a car in a year. We're in the rod shop now, if you haven't been following us. We have moved down to the rod shop. What you see in the background is just a few cars and like a little machine shop here. There's an overhead door here. And I'm getting me a little body shop straightened up so we can pull the door down, have a door back there, exhaust fan, so I can come in here and do dirty work, keep clean work here in a little machine shop, and then over there is assembly. All that being said, I haven't painted a car like in almost a year, but I started doing this as a painter. So I'll figure it out. And I didn't know what the best, latest, greatest rust repair stuff is. So I talked to my favorite vendor, Gary from R&E Paint. They're online, R&E Paint Supply, I think. So we were talking about it, and he got me some stuff, and so we talked about it some. This is a good rust converter, but it gets real hard, and then you may have an issue with paint sticking to it. So what's the point of converting the rust if your paint's not going to stick to the rust converter? And so we're back and forth. What you see here, I basically got primers. I told him I wanted a 2K type primer, and he sent me this. I guess he thought it was going south of the border. We are south of them because it has Spanish here, but it's a primer surfacer sealer, which is everything. Altogether, it activates. It's a polyurethane, I'm sure. I would think better be. It's not like the old lacquer days. Going on top of before I even put this on, going on top of the bare metal, I'll use a DP primer. You can get a shop line, or you can get some other types of epoxy type primers, but this is a high quality primer. Then there's two different activators. This is 401 and there's a 402 also. 401 is more for going over bare metal, and there's an induction time, 15 minutes, so I got to mix these together, let it kind of cook for 15 minutes. There's actually an acid in this activator, or in the activator. So when I put it onto the metal, it's going to bite in and grab better. So I said, well, I need a neutralizer. So what I got is, like, I never heard of this stuff, but it can't be as good as the stuff we used to have. I read the label. It's Rust Blast. Stop rust here, stops rust here. But it's like, I'm reading it and it goes, it's non-corrosive, it's non-flammable, and it's biodegradable. How good can this be? Man, the stuff we used to use, it would like burn your hands, and corrosive, it would destroy the environment, man. So anyway, we'll see. The key to this, if memory serves me right, and I'm hoping it's going to, whenever I would put a rust converter on a car to neutralize the rust, you've got to put a neutralizer afterwards. And if you don't, just because you put this on and get it wiped on, you need to make sure that you're ready to put this on first. Otherwise, you may delaminate between your metal and your first coat of primer. So neutralize it. I'm sure the products is good. Chemistry has come a long way. Paint materials from 40 years ago has come a long way. I was at the flipping car show, Car Craze, last weekend. It was awesome. Had the open house here. It was awesome. I seen two cars there that I'd done 20 years ago, still looking good. It's not the final top. I mean, if it looks good on the outside, doesn't make it good. We all put our own veneer on that make us look good. What's inside here is usually not what we present to the world. So kind of the same way, good paint job is all about the prep, all about the prep, all about the prep. Driving in this morning thinking about this car, this is just a bonus. It's been a long time since I've done this kind of work, and I'm kind of excited to be able to do it again. Not having to run the manufacturing side or be involved over there at all, actually. I dug into my box. The old days, and I couldn't find my file. It was a hammer and a dolly, and you had a file. There was enough metal on the thing where you would just file the metal a little bit to get the little bumps and stuff out of there. Couldn't find my file. So I'm looking for like body tools from the 30s and 40s. If any, I'm gonna call it a museum, but it's just history. It's hot rod history. So if anybody's got that kind of stuff laying around or whatever, I'm in the market for that kind of stuff. So I went down to the bottom of my toolbox, couldn't find a file. I've had one in the past, but I did find this. You have any idea what that is? Gilligan's confused. You have any idea what this is?
No.
No? Man. So if I had a little, and I don't have it anyway, it was a little tub. And matter of fact, if I remember right, I cut a coffee can down to be about that tall. And you filled it full of wax. So you got your little tub full of wax, you got your torch, and the car's over here. You've acid etched, and you've cleaned up, and you've tinned the dent. And then I should get you got a wire brush, so you're just heating the fender. Matter of fact, here I am. So I'm here. I got my I got my wax on the floor. I got my torch over here. I got my wire brush down here. I got my lead right here. And I'm heating up here, heating up here. I got some acid I just squirted on there to clean it. I scrub it a little bit. Then I'm just doing this until I get the whole thing covered. I'm doing it with my scrub brush there. And the whole thing is now covered in lead. It's just silver all the way around that. This is a pretty big dent here, but this is actually, thank God for Bondo. Oh my goodness. But before you even did that, you would have your file, because you can see all these little ripples. You can get behind here. Hammer dolly, hammer dolly, hammer dolly. I even found this. Homemade tool. I don't know what you call it. You call it slap dolly. I could slap Gillian with it and do. But it's good hardwood. So I can get in here. It's got different shapes, and I could, you know, it's not hard like metal dollies, but it was a useful tool. I seen an old timer had one, and I was like, I want one of them, so I made me one. It's not something you can buy at the store. So this is probably, my God, this is older than you are. How old? I'm going to ask. This is older than you are. I can guarantee it. So I'm got my thing. I'm pinned. I'm good. I got to keep my wax melted a little bit, so I got the heat going. I got heat here because I want balanced heat, but I've got this in my hand here. I got heat. Now I'm doing this thing a little bit. Okay, keep the heat. Make sure the heat's good. Now this thing here, I think I described that the other day. It's going to start doing droopy when I was on Alan's aluminum on his piece, which we got. We're going to show that next week. It's awesome. So as soon as this thing is doing one of these, before it goes bloop on the floor, because when it goes bloop on the floor, it'll kind of splatter all over. So it's kind of doing that. You kind of go wipe it on. So I wiped it on. My wax is good, and then I'm using this to spread it around. So get all that. Then I take my file and I clean it up and sand it, and ta-da. Let's see if there's any lead on here. Did I see any? Right here. So this has been repaired years and years ago. You can see over here, it's not a seam, so it's nothing there. Years and years ago, who knows how long, somebody did just what I was telling you. All this, what you see here, the reason it didn't get sanded off by somebody, like somebody's been sanding my Bondo off, it's because it's much harder. So it's got a lead repair, but it's definitely not straight, so we need to work on that. So what do we got? We talked about the metal prep. We'll show some of that as it's coming together. I got a good scripture for today, though. We're not going to worry about trigger time. My goodness. People already triggered plenty, so I don't need to get them fired up anymore. So if you need a hat, you're going to have to get your own. I'm not going to sell it to you because I need mine. We're getting to the final. Matthew in the 23rd chapter. Let's go probably 23rd chapter, verse 23. This is for me. This is for you. If you've made it this far into it and you like trigger time, and we're getting a lot of dislikes, so I appreciate that. And actually, we've been targeted, so we've actually getting a lot of negative comments. So I hopefully you stay till the very end. And I have no problem disagreeing with somebody, and I really love it when we can disagree and we can still go away friends. But if you want to hate me, that's fine too. I am kind of the guy I got people that really like me and people that really hate me. And I can be a good loyal friend, or if you want a good enemy, I can be one of the best you've ever had. So you choose on that one. I would rather just love everybody. And that's the approach I'm going to take, because I don't want to fall into this category. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites. Oh, no, we're going to go past that. But it's going to have the same. This is verse 25 now. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you cleanse the outside of the cup and of the plate, but inside they are full of extortion and rapacity. I'm not sure. We could have to look up that word. You blind Pharisee. First cleanse the inside of the cup and of the plate, that the outside may also be clean. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you are like whitewashed tombs, which outwardly appear beautiful, but within they are full of dead men's bones, all unclean. So you also outwardly appear righteous to men, but within you are full of hypocrisy and iniquity. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, for you build the tombs of the prophets and adorn monuments of the righteous, saying, if we had lived in the days of our fathers, we would not have taken part with them in shedding blood of the prophets. Thus you witness against yourselves. You are sons of murderers who murdered the prophets. And so it's a whole nother issue going on. My goodness, brothers and sisters, we are a family, and the world looks at the church. Why would they want any part of it? We are like a religious Pharisees. We go into our buildings and we create these religious laws and rules made by men. We are the body of Christ. We are the church. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and strength. Love your neighbors yourself. On all these things the prophets and the law is built. We don't need to have this crap that's being, and then we're trying to neuter Christ. We've all sinned, we know that. And anyway, I don't need to carry on if the scripture in its own has the power to carry conviction. I mean, it convicts me. I don't need to put on a fancy facade. I am who I am. I just need to do the work of God. I don't need to do it by going to a building on Sunday. And I'm not saying anything against assembling and being part of that family and coming together to worship. We need to do that, but we need to get into the world and show the love of Christ. Otherwise, we're just a great barn find that once you dig into a little bit, oh my goodness, it just needs some help. And really, we're all just good barn finds. We all need some help. My righteousness is like filthy rags. Unless I can put on Christ's righteousness, there is none. But when I do that, I can boldly stand before the throne of God. And right now I pray, Lord, bless those that belong to you. Give them a purpose, give them a meaning, give them an insight into how you want to be our feet and hands in this world, so we might share your love, the gospel of Christ, with those that don't know you, in a way that they can receive it and see your love. So we just thank you for that. And tomorrow we're doing glass. We're cutting glass tomorrow. Unless I have to drive to Oklahoma, I am the driver of Last Resort to go pick up a new welder that we bought. If that happens, you may not see me till Monday. But hopefully we're cutting glass as a class tomorrow. See you then.